Welcome, everybody, to Why Soul Works. I am your host, Kendall Bird, VP of Brand here at Soul Naturals. And Why Soul Works is a program we put on twice a month, usually, and where we dig deep into one of our products and find out what makes it work. And today is no different in that aspect. But in other aspects, it's quite special. For one reason, today we're streaming also in Spanish on a separate stream. And if you want to hear this in Spanish, we're putting on in the chat a link that you can go to. If you're in this stream and you would like to be in the other stream, you can go to that and listen to it in Spanish. So that's special. Also, it's special today because we have some of the greatest people that I have come across in my life here to share their thoughts with us today. We've got Greg Halliday, our founder and president. We have Blake Christensen, a founder and VP of Supply Chain Operations, here with us today. We have Valerie Bledsoe, the lovely and knowledgeable Valerie Bledsoe is here to share her thoughts with us. And we have the amazing Dr. Allison Caldwell Andrews with us here tonight. So we are so blessed to have these people with us. But even more special than that, tonight we are launching a brand new product, and that product is Minify. Here it is, our new product, Minify. It's yellow, it's in our Clarify category, and this is it. What is Minify, and what does Minify mean? Let's find out right now on Why Soul Works. Greg.
Hi, Kendall. I'm still blushing because you included me in that list of people.
Oh, absolutely.
Because I'm here to hear them speak too.
It's an impressive list, isn't it?
It is actually very impressive. I can't wait. There's lots to share.
Yeah. So Greg, our founder and president at Soul Naturals here, is gonna share some of his thoughts with us right now. So Greg, Minify, that's an interesting word.
Yes, it is. In fact, interestingly enough, it's a relatively young word. I'd say it's a toddler of a word.
A toddler.
It has not been around that long, but it's perfect for this product.
We didn't make it up.
We did not make it up. In case you're wondering, Minify is a real word. And we're going to tell you what it means here in a second.
So, what is Minify? What kind of a product is it, and what does it do?
Minify, the product. Why is there a need for it? Well, Minify actually centers around our eating habits. It is really greatly needed in our day and age with the typical lifestyle and eating habits. Though we may work on it, we all might be working on it and trying to do our best. What we have available to us, both in terms of proximity, where we might be going to eat or foods we might be buying and groceries we're buying, they're greatly changed versus, say, 100 years ago. 100 years ago, or give or take, you'd find a lot more dense nutrition and a lot fewer chemicals in foods. Those are just a couple of points. And then, of course, we move a lot. Our lifestyle moves fast, and so we buy a lot of pre-prepared foods. That's a second point. Minify addresses that. And then thirdly, we use a lot of processed ingredients. It's just sort of part of the world we live in, and we can do well in it, but we actually can't just go with the flow and do well. We've actually got to take action, and Minify is about that too. So it's about our eating habits. I think more than anything, it's about our eating habits. But I'd say there's one other point, Kendall. Do you remember we were talking earlier about two areas of nutrition in our lives, you could say? Maybe two areas where we're getting nutrition. We're putting nutrition into us. They happen to be two places in a home, in a typical home.
Right. Yeah, like your cupboard,
your cupboard or your countertop, over where you store stuff,
and then your table.
Your table, the food that you prepare. So a lot of times we supplement our nutrition from the cupboard or the countertop. We have our countertop nutrition, say.
Right.
I like your word better, our cupboard nutrition. And then we're also trying to do a lot with and better with what we put on our table.
Yeah.
And half the time we're eating at a different table if we move and travel and we got a busy life, right?
Yeah.
So Minify brings those two things together. Minify takes from the cupboard something that's meant to be used at mealtime. So that's the other little, I think, nugget that maybe a little differentiator of Minify is about your meal. And not just mealtime, snack time.
Yeah. Because, other products you might, take at night or in the morning. Or midday or something, but not with your meal necessarily. Sometimes you might, but
absolutely,
but not necessarily. Where Minify is meant to be then, taken then.
Well, in fact, if we look at the label, and do we want to look at it real quick?
Let's look at it.
Let's look at it. Okay, so here's a picture of the label. A couple of quick things. Suggested use: you take 2 capsules, 2 or 3 times daily, as a pre-meal or a pre-snack supplement. Okay, so now we're getting more of the picture of Minify. So I Minify pre-meal or pre-snack. And I can do it multiple times a day if I want. All right. Second, maybe just look at the supplement facts box for a second with me. You can see 6 ingredients. The Minify, on the label, it does say pre-meal fiber blend. And you can see the fibers are the top 2 ingredients, Psyllium seed, slippery elm. But then you get into some other very key parts of this fiber blend that make it special. It's not just fiber in a capsule. Chickweed, Nopal, ginger, and Amla. We're going to get into that for a second. In fact, our thought is just mention a couple other points about Minify's objectives and uses, and then diving into the ingredients. Does that sound good? Okay, so let's jump to that. So this is from the back of the label. So when you get your first bottle of Minify, take a look at this. And when you're sharing it with someone, it makes it easy to share. Because honestly, you can take the bottle, turn the label, and say, it's really clearly stated what Minify is for. So the word, we first define it. This is the actual meaning of Minify. Kendall, as you mentioned, it's a real word. To minimize or lessen the impact of something. So think about mealtime. What happens? What are impacts we'd like to lessen from our meals in today's day and age? Well, chemicals, some artificial stuff sometimes, sugars, too much fat of the bad kind, carbs, maybe like too many carbs, maybe. There was one other thing I was trying to think of it, and it slips my mind. But there are a number of things in the food. Oh, overly processed foods.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That, they bring a price that we pay later. So if we can lessen the impact of those, then we can do in a simple activity, in a simple action, in a simple intervention at mealtime or at snack time. We can do worlds of good down the road. In fact, it builds. So to minimize the impact of something, anything that's a negative health effect in meals or snacks, so inflammatory fats, sugars, processed or artificial ingredients, Minify is designed to lessen those. And we'll tell you how. Let's look at now that's one paragraph on the back of the label. Here's the second one. Minify is an outstanding prebiotic. So it's got several wonderful, I would say, gold standard prebiotics in abundance in the formula, but also some digestive gems that make all the difference in digestion. And when those two things are combined, you tend to have that whole microbiome, that whole gut health thrive. And so I like the statement, you add this, we level up our snack time, we level up our meal time, minify the negative, and help the microbiome thrive, lets us be just a little bit better with every bite. I kind of like that.
Great.
All right.
So the idea is to minify the bad things in your meals. What kind of meals can you minify?
That's a good question.
Let's talk about that. In fact, let's play a little game I like to call Will It Minify?
Okay, I like this.
All right.
And in fact, those who are following the stream or chatting in, why don't you chat? If you've got any questions on, is there a food you love? Is there a snack you just can't do without? And maybe it's not the best always. You can always chat in, will it minify? But I want to see what Kendall's thought of.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's look at our first item. There's a good steak with
Okay.
some potatoes.
Meat potatoes meal.
Looks like maybe those were fried in some oils, but it looks. I mean, that's a healthy meal right there.
Yeah, a lot of people would go, "Hey, I'm eating pretty clean."
Yeah.
But yeah, included in that depends on the cut of meat, I guess, and how it's prepared.
Yeah.
And like you said, those potatoes, they can be prepared a lot. There's
Some carbs in there.
the question is, would that minify? Can I minify that and make it an even better meal? And I think the answer is yes, it can minify.
In fact, yeah.
Well, there you have it. Okay, so it obviously minifies. Well, let's do another one.
All right. Oh, a pie.
Now, is that one of your pies?
No, I didn't make that one. But I wish it were.
Yeah, and
It's making
you
me
can.
hungry right now.
Kendall actually is quite a fine chef. I've enjoyed that. Okay, so this pie. Okay, so we got a lot of stuff in here that clearly we've got some fats and sugars and carbs in here. Could we enjoy this pie? It's not Kendall's. It might be Kendall's mom's pie.
Which are really good.
Yeah, can we minify it? I don't know, Kendall. Why don't you answer this one?
I don't know. Yeah. Yes, it will minify.
Okay, it will minify.
Yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Okay, next one. Ooh, okay, so you went a little healthier. You went to chicken and veggies.
Yeah.
Okay. But again, it's interesting because even healthy foods, veggies and fruits, when you get into it and you see where farmers are rewarded, there are developments wherein the food just is less nutritious. One of the little secrets we're going to find tonight in the Minify pre-meal fiber blend is beyond just the fibers and some of the sugar and fat management, some highly nutritious add-ins too. So, and besides that, even if I'm eating this meal right here, my guess is I'm not even close to enough fiber in a day anyway.
Yeah.
So I can still minify this and make it even better, can't I?
Yep.
Well, let's find out.
It'll minify.
Okay, it'll minify. All right.
Oh.
Ooh, okay.
Chocolate.
Okay, we got to do this chocolate. Then I see one out there.
Oh.
Chocolate. Okay, that's an easy one, Kendall. Well, because chocolate, it's actually got lots of great stuff.
Good stuff, yeah.
In you, encased in a a bunch of sugar and milk and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's going to minify.
Oh,
I don't know. Why don't you hit the
Absolutely.
button? Oh, it did. Okay, it minified. I think we got a couple in here. Sushi. Erica says sushi. Oh, absolutely. For the same reason. Because Minify covers all the food groups, and we're going to see that when we jump in the ingredients. It actually covers all the macros that we could work in. Gnocchi, there's another one, lots of carbs and things, right? Can we Minify pasta with Alfredo?
Fact,
oh, ouch.
I minified gnocchi last night.
Did you Minify gnocchi last night?
Had some soup with it in it.
Pasta with Alfredo, I like that one. That's seashell pony. I actually like, there's a certain pizza place that does Alfredo instead of the red sauce. But now I didn't have Minify, but now I'm going to Minify that. Okay, but yes. Okay.
Awesome.
All right. Do we have any more?
Oh.
Okay. All right.
Oh.
Is this, did you make this one, Kendall?
I might when I get home.
That's a classic. All right. Well, it's going to Minify. You got a little bit of, you got some good stuff, and then you got some stuff in there.
You need to minify
You need to
this.
Minify.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we know it minifies.
So that's all we have of those for now.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that game.
Yeah,
Are we going to play it a little bit later?
I think we should.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll play it a little later.
So, but now let's get into some of the ingredients that are in this, and we're going to bring out Blake Christensen, who's going to help you talk a little bit about psyllium and ginger.
Okay. Excellent. So we'll talk about the first two, and then we'll go from there and get the rest of them. Okay.
So Blake, why don't you come in and
let's welcome Blake, everyone. Thank you, Kendall. Mr. Blake Christensen, everyone.
How's it going this evening?
We're having a lot of fun.
I can see that.
I'm just sitting here by Blake. Can you minify him just a little, Kendall? Because right now, no, you're okay, Blake. All right, so we're going to talk about the first two, and the first ingredient and the largest quantity in the formula is psyllium. So we're going to go to. Whoops, I think I skipped. We were already showing it there. Psyllium. And the title here says psyllium, still the gold standard for fiber. So Blake, that comes from you. You've mentioned this over the years, that you consider psyllium the gold standard. A couple of your thoughts about psyllium and what we have in Minify.
I mean, I've always said psyllium's the gold standard because it can absorb many times its weight in liquid or things that we need absorbed. We use 3 different types of psyllium in good vibrations. There's psyllium hulls and there's psyllium seeds. The hulls are more of a sweeping action for cleansing. These seeds are more of a soluble fiber and very good for absorbing from the blood and absorbing, more of the liquid type that's not the sweeping action. So very key ingredient to the formula.
Yeah, in fact, that's the first point on the slide, Blake, you just mentioned. Using the seeds in this particular formula lets us get into the blood, and there's so much great data, so many studies talking about the good work that when good soluble fibers can get into, can be absorbed, the work they can do. Here it just says activity in the bloodstream. Well, what kind of activity? Well, if you look at the second point, minifying the swings in sugar levels and the fat and helping the body maintain healthy fats. Fiber plays, and particularly psyllium seed plays such a key role. And I would agree, it's really the gold standard there, and that's why it's the dominant, the soluble fibers. Now, the third point, Blake, I was going to ask you, it's a prebiotic. So psyllium seed again. Why is this such a good prebiotic?
Prebiotics very important. Short chain polysaccharides. It's very good for digestion. It helps keep things moving. It feeds healthy bacteria in the gut. But again, the whole absorption value of it is key. Okay,
so we've got a very high grade psyllium in a large quantity. So we start there with Minify. Now let's jump to something I want to show you, because you probably noticed in the picture it looked like the bigger bottle of Solle. It would typically be the 90 count bottle, but there are only 60 capsules in this one, and it's full, or as full as you normally would fill a bottle. You want to explain a little bit about, because we've got 2 capsules in this picture, Blake. One is the typical capsule of Solle products, and the second one is Minify.
Right. So all of the Solle products have, there's two main capsule sizes that most people use in the dietary supplement industry. There's size 0, which we've used on all of our capsules to this point. And there's size 00. It's a little larger capsule. You can see in the picture here, it's slightly larger, still very easily swallowed. You can swallow it easily, but it fits about double the amount of powder of a size 0 capsule. And so we're able to keep the number of capsules you have to consume lower, and you're getting more in it. If you look on the supplement fact panel, there's 1,500 milligrams in 2 capsules. So we've put 750 milligrams of this Minify blend in each capsule, where most typically you can fit between 400 and 500 milligrams in a size 0. We're doubling that almost in a size 00.
Yeah, and these are kind of fluffy, because there's so much great fiber and prebiotic. It's fluffier, but you're right. So now with Minify, you're kind of minifying the number of capsules you have to take to level up the fiber experience and these other digestives in snacks and meals, right? So I love that. I'm glad we could. Thanks for your comments there, Blake. We love the double-aught capsules. Minify is the first product in double-aught at Solle. Now let's move to ginger. Ginger is so interesting because it's so common that we overlook it, or we can easily overlook it. And that's why this slide is entitled The Many Gifts of Ginger. So ginger is an important ingredient in Minify, but Blake, there's something special about the ginger we're using, right?
So there's ginger powder, standard ginger powder, and there's ginger powder that's standardized to gingerols. And we use a ginger extract in this material that's standardized to gingerol content. That's where the heat comes from. That's where the activity comes from. So we were sure to use the ginger with gingerols.
Okay, so this is a much more concentrated ginger, and so all these points on the slide become a bigger deal in Minify because we're using. You don't have to consume as much of it, right? Daily to start to see these benefits. So. First of all, highly bioactive. I mean, ginger has, we were talking before, I read a recent article, somewhere in the teens of volatile oils or essential oils that are triggers and move things and create things and empower good balance and good activity in the body. Let's put it that way. So I think one of the reasons it is so bioactive is all these, and gingerol is among them. But ginger helps a sluggish digestion speed up. If there's gas and bloating, and we use it in some other products, don't we, Blake?
Right. Yeah, it's also in good vibrations. We have it in Avant Greens. We put enough in here. I think a key point to mention, we put enough of the gingerol content in here. You're going to feel a little bit of heat, but it isn't overbearing or overpowering, but you know that it's there, it's working for you.
It's just that sweet spot, and I love it. It's doing these things. Now, I had forgotten this, but ginger stimulates the liver, so bile production, and that important component in fat digestion and fat management, and also detoxing and getting, so we talked about Minify bringing some of these negatives, these artificial, these chemicals, that out of what we're eating. One of the reasons it can do that is because ginger and one other ingredient that we're going to hear from Dr. Allison about later are both liver boosters, to put it one way. And the evidence of that is that bile production will increase. And as Dr. Allison taught years ago when we launched Avant Greens, if you've got fiber and you've got a bile, your body can detox so much more easily. I still remember the slide. She said the bile and the fiber are like two friends holding a bomb, and the toxin is the bomb that you want out.
Right.
So you got that little gift in here of the liver and bile. And then obviously ginger, nausea and dizziness. It's well known for that. Maybe lesser known, I was reading a study a few days ago where they're investigating ginger, its daily consumption, in terms of being neuroprotective from cognitive decline. So very interesting there to where, and they named names of very, very common diseases of cognitive decline that they wanted to look into. Because of the properties in ginger, they want to dive more deeply. It's also anti-inflammatory, antibacterial, so lots of gifts. And this isn't the whole list, but it filled the slide.
Yeah, it filled the slide. And I think the next slide talks about the studies behind it. And
yeah, let's do that. Yeah, so ginger, you can find many, many studies. Here's just one meta-analysis. So a meta-analysis is an analysis of many studies. These were all randomized controlled trials. And this particular analysis focused in on 14 of them. And look what they were trying to look at the top of the slide, the effects of ginger on weight loss and metabolic profiles among overweight and obese subjects. So this was their purpose. And what the statement of summary is in bold beneath the meta-analysis. They said, this was a 2019, this was just a few years ago, this meta-analysis. The current meta-analysis demonstrated that ginger intake reduced BW, body weight, WHR, waist to hip ratio, HR, your hip ratio, which I think means side to side, front to back, I'm guessing, fasting glucose, so your sugar levels. This HOMA-IR is insulin resistance. And it also increased the good cholesterol while not having any negative effects or unwanted effects on the things mentioned below. So quite impressive. And that's ginger. And that's just them looking at 14 studies. I think it involved over 600 people in the studies or somewhere around there. So, wow. Any last comments on ginger, Blake?
I just love the cholesterol, the fat digestion from it. That's key. A lot of people take a lot of ginger when they're trying to manage their cholesterol levels. Having it here in a potent form, it's a winner.
Yeah, I do think, Blake, thanks for mentioning cholesterol. So again, what a great tool there, because a lot of people are working on that as well. All right, well, I want to thank Blake.
I'm going to go work on my hip ratio.
It'll minify.
It'll minify.
Okay. All right. And so I think right now we're going to, as Kendall rejoins us, we're going to jump into the next two ingredients, which you mentioned Valerie earlier. Yeah. Kendall, do you want to welcome Val?
Well, first of all,
we have more else to do.
Well, I wanted to mention about ginger. The other day we opened up one of the capsules and put it on our tongue, and it was quite nice. It was quite warming, almost hot. It has quite an effect.
Yeah, we all did that when the Minify came in. And yeah, if you want to do that, take the Minify tongue test. You don't have to if you're not, some of the other herbs that you're going to learn about are a little bitter, but the heat is nice. It builds and you think, is this going to get to be too much? And then it's like, no, I'm not too much for you. I'm just here to minify. Yeah. All right.
So, you talked about psyllium and the fiber, and how important fiber is in this capsule, in this product. But also, there's lots of other ingredients that are so important to this fiber blend that we're going to talk about now. Valerie Bledsoe has recorded a presentation for us on two of the ingredients, Chickweed and Slippery Elm, which are fantastic ingredients that are, Slippery Elm is also a great fiber. So let's listen to her presentation now.
Chickweed, probably an herb you've never heard of before, but you're going to be surprised to find out that it might have been underneath your very feet when you've been walking about and you never had a clue. This small but mighty herb is going to make a big difference with what it brings to the table in this formula. It's actually one of the most common weeds in the world and native to all temperate regions, something I grew up with the Midwest seeing on a regular basis, and it's something that I have used extensively in a lot of my work in helping support people's health over the years. Chickweed's pretty amazing. It supports the urinary system, the digestive system, the respiratory system, and the circulatory system. So nice, well-rounded approach where it challenges things. Now, there's multiple therapeutic actions, and those of you who've heard my teaching before know that I really like to help educate you to see the full potential that a plant brings to the table. And one of the ways to best understand that is to understand the different actions. By looking across these actions, you see that chickweed has the ability to support the mucous membranes of the gastrointestinal tract. It supports the flow and secretion of urine. It has mucilaginous properties that not only soothe but protect internally for irritated and inflamed surfaces and tissues. Also helps to reduce temperature and to cool areas in the body that maybe have heat because of inflammation. It also has the abilities by being emollient to soften while it soothes and protects. So if an area has gotten hardened because it's been a chronic issue. Nutritive, meaning it's going to nourish and build. We have properties that help to move inflammation out so that the body can carry it out of itself by using the different eliminative channels. We also have the ability to address complaints or issues when it comes to the broncho or pulmonary issue. That's what pectoral means. And then when you see alternative, you know that it means it's working to gradually restore normal body functions. So to bring it back into balance. And mucilage, you're going to hear a lot about mucilage in this presentation because chickweed and then slippery elm as well, they bring a lot of mucilaginous properties and allow that slippery feel to help, whether it's removing toxins or help bring the bowel up to speed. And then finally, chickweed has the ability to help break down and dissolve abnormal type growths that are in the system that it comes up against. Historically, chickweed has been used as an anti-inflammatory, both internally and externally. Its ability to support and stimulate the production of mucosal fluids within the body helps to cool hot areas or inflammation, helps to soothe something, and promote healing. So just think of it as that nice, cuddly herb that gets up and just lets the body go, ah. While it does this, because it's moving things out, it also has actions to where it's being used as a blood purifier, which also is, you can see and understand why it's been used for situations like arthritis. Historically, chickweed is also well-renowned in its ability to thin mucus, whether it's in the lungs or any other of the channels of the respiratory system. It also can have that impact where it's cleansing and soothing and a tonic type of effect in the urinary system. So if we have inflammation or people are dealing with the itises like cystitis or urinary tract infections. Chickweed also used to soften tissues, whether we're talking about scars, adhesions, fat in the body, on belly, or in growths that are in the system. Puffiness around the eyes and a congested or hardened liver, it helps to soften that. Also, if you have a person who's had challenges with their gallbladder, either still have their gallbladder or has had it removed, they have often found benefit with chickweed in a formula. Raynaud's syndrome, where the circulation is impacted to where people really easily get cold hands and feet because their circulation doesn't go to the extremities like it should, so much so that their skin doesn't have its normal vibrant color. Now we also see that it's been used to help reduce cellulite, and we're going to get into those details as to how and why it's able to do that, and how it breaks down fat. Chickweed has got lots of viscous fiber. It helps with the digestion, helps to bring into balance gastrointestinal issues by challenging and moving out situations like constipation by balancing that bowel flow. When the bowel runs more regularly, we don't have the straining, so we lessen the chances and issues and aggravation of hemorrhoids. We lessen the issues when it comes to intestinal toxicity and ulcerated areas, and that heat. We've also seen research that confirms that it's effective against some of the respiratory pathogens, such as the Mycobacterium tuberculosis. We've seen people and get reports to where it's been helped with tumors. They do say that more research is needed on that, but it's floating around out there that people have gotten some benefits with that. You can learn that it's very good when it works with iron deficiency. Any type of debility or weakness that's due to a nutrient profile or the inability to digest, because chickweed helps enhance your assimilation and absorption. And it is loaded: calcium, iron, cobalt, magnesium, manganese, phosphorus, silicon, zinc, the electrolytes, and potassium and sodium, vitamin A, protein, vitamin C, vitamins B6, B12, D, and copper. So you can see very nutrient dense, which is probably one of the reasons that it helps with enhancing assimilation absorption, because it has all these bits and pieces that allow the body to increase its uptake and bioavailability. Now, cobalt. Cobalt, I want to talk a little bit about, because we have this great support system with cobalt and chickweed, and it's very important when it comes to the ability of the body to utilize B12. In fact, when we are deficient in cobalt on our diet, they think it's possibly responsible for pernicious anemia, because it is tied to the body's ability to get iron carried and being able to be picked up to be utilized by the blood. Cobalt also helps with nerve damage. It helps with a stunted growth rate. And whenever we've got someone who's a strict vegetarian, they're often in danger of not being able to get enough B12. They can be lethargic because it could be because they're not getting enough cobalt. Cobalt also helps stimulate various enzymes. It normalizes cells in general across the board, and it does help to rebuild red blood cells, or build them to begin with. Now, one of the things that makes chickweed so effective is the fact that it has saponins in it. Saponins are really strong with their antioxidant actions. But one of the things we're really excited about is how it has an impact on cholesterol. And it does that by binding to the cholesterol and the bile acids in that digestive tract and helping support its elimination from the body. And here's one way to look at that and understand that. So we all know that what oil can look like sitting on the water. Well, one of the easy ways to get that off is with soap. It moves it out. So saponins are your soap at that type of property. It is a foaming agent, while at the same time it emulsifies or moves or lifts out and separates that oil to remove it from the system. So let's look at it even a little bit more deeply. When we look at this study done with mice, they did a 6-week study with these mice where they gave them a high-fat diet while also giving them freeze-dried chickweed juice. And what they found was the results were that it prevented weight gain and increases in body fat, and both total and their LDL, or their bad cholesterol, compared with the control group. But even more detail, what they found was their HDL cholesterol was not impacted. It stayed good. So if it was nice and high, it wasn't lowered like the LDL was. So it helped bring it into the ratio that we wanted. What they also saw was a chickweed extract, when it was given to overweight mice, decreased the amount of food they consumed. They just didn't want as much, and they didn't absorb as much of that fat. So you can better understand now, too, why this is beneficial for people with the gallbladder challenges. It also leads to understanding for some of the other parts we're going to look at with chickweed, because often herbs, in fact, they're usually legendary for one or two things. And that's what people focus on, but they are good for 100 or more things. And to me, it's always important to bring those to the table. Dr. John Christopher, an infamous herbalist that I grew up studying his work, these are just some of the medicinal uses that Dr. Christopher lists that chickweed can be used for. And as you look across this, you see not only just things for the lungs and digestion, but we see things when it comes to the reproductive system, like swollen testicles. We see things like deafness. We see blood poisoning, which makes sense. We see hoarseness, and we think about thickness of phlegm and how chickweed can thin it. So very beneficial at thinning that and moving that. So when you get in and look deep, understanding those other actions I shared with you, this comes as no surprise as to what chickweed can bring to the table. Now, I grew up hearing that chickweed's old wives' remedy was great for obesity. Well, when you look what it does with fat, what we've heard that it can do for appetite, and what it does for helping to balance out the digestive tract, gastrointestinal tract, for moving the bowel out, that makes more sense. And also being able to break down those fatty deposits, no matter where that they're located. If they're not where they're supposed to be, remember, our formulas are designed to bring the body into balance. And finally, one of the other things that I always use chickweed for, I would get dizziness when my ears would get congested. And I learned at a very young age to reach for the chickweed because it was so good at thinning that fluid and the mucus there in my ear canal that the dizziness would go away very soon. So chickweed has been something that has always been in my go-to herbal cabinet. And now we're going to have the opportunity to take it on a daily basis in this Minify formula. Now, one of the other herbs that is in the formula is called slippery elm. And many of us become familiar with it with the story about George Washington. I know that when I was about 6th grade, I read a book about George Washington and Valley Forge. And we all know in the Revolutionary War how cold that the winters were, and how the army was not well funded. And so we had uniforms that were tattered and torn, and shoes that, some soldiers didn't even have shoes, and they certainly didn't have the food supply. So they're cold and not thriving. Well, what they did is they took the inner bark from the slippery elm, and that's what they subsisted in. And you're going to find out that that's because it's a very nutritive plant or herb that we can rely on to bring to the table to support these systems in our body: the structural system, the respiratory system, and again, the digestive system. So what are the therapeutic actions of slippery elm? It too has that mucilage. In fact, many of us have had slippery elm lozenges, and it has that kind of sweet, soothing, slippery, mild taste. And so that's why it's so good for sore throats. Well, it's really good for anything that's sore or irritated in the body. That property is what does it. To dulcet means it's, again, soothing and protective. I talked about all the nutrition tied for it and why they used it for George Washington's army. It was also a tonic. So it not only stimulates nutrition, but it helps to bring the system, the body system, and energy, vigor, and strength all the way to the table. It works for supporting the bronchial and pulmonary area of the body. It's an emollient, which means it softens, soothes, and protects hardened areas, while being an astringent, which means it's going to help to tighten and tone areas, making them stronger and firmer and better able to function, and helping to stop discharges. It is diuretic as well, like the chickweed, but it's also an expectorant. So it's going to help move mucus secretions from the bronchial pulmonary passages as well. Historically, how has slippery elm been used? Well, slippery elm has been used as a poultice for wounds, burns, or poultice for wounds and burns, and a tea for the throat. Used a lot for infections of the respiratory tract. It is up to 50% mucilage. So it's very much loaded with and has this ability to create this gel that types to soothe and protects the areas in the system. And slippery elm is a balancer. It will help a constipated bowel to start to get its bowel transit time where it's supposed to be, but it will also take someone that has diarrhea and help get rid of the diarrhea and pull with those astringent properties and pull it back in to help slow the bowel down. Again, it's going to help balance that bowel transit time. It also is very, very good at absorbing toxins from the bowel. It also is a prebiotic. It helps create that and restore a healthy microbiome by helping to balance that intestinal flora. It is a very effective remedy for irritation of mucous membranes, stomach, intestines, the urinary tubules. So helping protect and draw out irritants and toxic substances. And in this, I also want you to think about like ulcerated areas or like radiation. It's very good for those. It also helps to stimulate nerve endings in the stomach and the intestines to help them heal, which is going to cause it to do what it's supposed to do, which is secrete mucosal fluids, which it is supposed to do, but it doesn't always have the nutrition to do it properly like it should. It's also very good for addressing burning irritations of the female reproductive tract and enlarged prostate. You can also look at things like painful testicles, like in mumps. What is the nutritional profile that we're looking at when it comes to slippery elm? It's high in niacin, calcium, again, all dietary fiber, thiamine, riboflavin, vitamin K, your vitamin P, which is your bioflavonoid. So strengthening those connective tissues while it helps to fight infection and inflammation. So again, you can see where between this and the calcium and a few things and the vitamin K, how it's coming in supporting that structural system with the bone health. It's also high in phosphorus, and it is well known for its food value. It is wholesome and nourishing. It's great for invalids and children. Let's look at niacin or B3. Niacin is really talked about a lot when people are addressing things like their circulation or cholesterol. It's also benefits when it comes to hardening of the arteries. It's documented to, again, reduce cholesterol, help increase circulation, helping to bring high blood pressure into balance, helping to prevent or at least make less severe migraine headaches, and eliminating canker sores. And how would you know that you're deficient in niacin? Well, you might be dealing with things like anorexia, nauseousness, canker sores, confusion or memory loss, different types of dermatitis, skin eruptions, eczema, mood swings, irritability, depression, not sleeping well, arthritis, diabetes, or allergic reactions. When my children and grandchildren were lagging behind with cutting their teeth, and I mean lagging behind, like I would see them struggling or no signs at all that their teeth just weren't coming in. All I would do was simply make a gruel out of the slippery elm, very much like what General Washington did for his troops. And it's kind of like an oatmeal. And I would feed it to them daily with their breakfast. And in all cases, within 1 to 2 weeks, virtually painlessly, all of a sudden their teeth would come through. I absolutely love slippery elm and how it is so nutritive in that fashion. So I hope you can see in this very short, condensed presentation why I'm so excited to have both chickweed and slippery elm in this formula, because they absolutely are two very, very powerful players in this formula. They complement each other nicely with what they do with bringing in the fiber, the mucilage, helping to pull out toxins while they soothe at the same time, and are nutritive, helping to soften hardened areas and to help bring the body into better health. And they bring a strong they work very well to help round out and bring that strong foundation that we always look for in all our formulas, and bringing this all-star cast to the table.
You know, Kendall, if you can find a proper herb encyclopedia and you find Chickweed and Slippery Elm, and then you look under Ask the Expert, you see a picture of Valerie.
Oh, absolutely.
I feel always a little wiser after she teaches.
She's so fantastic. She's so knowledgeable. We're so lucky to have her as a counselor, as an advisor for us when we are formulating these products. In fact, I want to talk to her. Let's talk to her.
Wait, she's going to be here? Val!
Valerie,
Hello there.
Hello. Thanks for coming, and thanks for your information, your video you recorded for us. Thank you. So Greg was telling me when he first talked to you about chickweed being in the formula, you were so excited. You love chickweed, and that showed right there how much you love it. Your comments and whatever.
Yeah, so I'm curious, Valerie, because I know you've used chickweed for many, many years, and slippery elm, and so much more. But in the case of the chickweed, because you recorded this for us, any other comments you want to add on, or any experience that comes to your mind from over the years using chickweed to help someone?
Yes, I was absolutely ecstatic when I realized we were going to be using chickweed in this formula, because what I saw it do with being able to help people move forward with maybe situations where the body had started to become resistant because of that ability to emulsify the fat and to soften areas. Let's take, for example, maybe fatty deposits that people will get underneath the skin, and that tends to be pretty resistant. Chickweed, in a very short amount of time, maybe a few weeks or a couple months, but that's short when most people have had those for years, to watch that break down. And that was just an outward example of what we knew was happening internally. So yes, I am very excited to have this available to our clients.
Yeah, and it's so interesting, the chickweed and so many things it does, but just in that area of fats and thinking about, as you mentioned, the old wives' tale, what I've learned in my 59 years is I listened to those old wives. I don't know how old they were, but they knew some stuff.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. And if you think about these properties, one of the reasons and that it underscores why this old wives' tale was floating around was because these results were happening, because again, it was going to where the fat deposits were, helping to break them down, bring it into motion, and release it from the system.
I love that, because when you think about Minify, you think about it just grabbing stuff, taking it and getting it out, because it does that with a fair amount of things. But with fats, especially, you don't necessarily just want them to leave. You want to emulsify them. You want to break them down. You want to make them more useful for your body.
Exactly,
So
and use the proper channels to leave.
Yeah, right. Love it.
Excellent. Thanks, Val. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Talk to you later. Oh, that's good stuff.
Great stuff. And I think we've got now round two.
Yeah.
The final two ingredients, right, Kendall?
Yeah, adaptogens.
Right.
Right. Our two adaptogens in the product, Amla and
Nopal.
Nopal, yeah, geez. It slipped my mind. Amla and Nopal, which are fantastic adaptogens. Who else would we have talk about our adaptogens but Dr. Allison Caldwell Andrews, who has come to share with us. Hi, Allison.
Hey, guys. Hey, Kendall. Hey, Greg. Great to
Good
be
to
here.
see you.
I love what you've done so far.
Well,
Yeah.
we're looking forward to your part. We want more wisdom.
Perfect. I'm going to talk about adaptogens. So there, like Kendall just said, there are two adaptogens in the Minify formula, Amla and Nopal cactus. And you can move to the next slide. I'll just say next. So adaptogens, I know you guys have probably heard this before. Just in case you were asleep, adaptogens are really special plants. Now, you just heard Val talk all about herbs and how herbs can be good sometimes for one or two things, excellent, or I guess legendary is what she said, for a couple things, and then really good for 100 things. Adaptogens are sort of like they're legendary for a bunch of things. And that's amazing. That's why we want an adaptogen, or at least one. And I think we have more than one in every formula. But it's important to Soul Naturals because adaptogens help us all throughout. They're mind and body, like many herbs are, but adaptogens are particularly useful for the mind and for the body, and they are incredibly safe. There's a reason why they're known as the superior herbs in Chinese medicine. They're superior because they're so safe that you could take them every day for the rest of your life. And what would happen is that you would benefit. You don't get used to them. You don't ever become numb to their effects. They're safe and they're useful. And so they are superior. So not only are adaptogens useful for their medicinal action, but they are full of nutrition. So they're sort of like a nutrition buffet. So we have talked in the past about primary and secondary metabolites. So primary metabolites are things like protein, fat, carbohydrates. There are also things like vitamins and minerals. So when you think about all of those as this is what the plant has in the original package, you might think of it that way. And then the plant develops some, well, I mean, they come genetically with the plant in large part, but they are really developed by the environment. And so plants that live in a difficult environment have to develop some defenses against that difficulty. And so those defenses you could call secondary metabolites. So these are components of the plant that act in ways to protect the plant from the environment. So for example, if you have a plant that is, well, like maca. Maca is grown in the Andes. It's up high and the sun is shining all the time and it's very windy. And so maca has developed some secondary metabolites to protect it from all that kind of extreme environment, all that sun, all that wind. And maca has in it things that are protective against sun, too much sun exposure, and those can benefit humans too. In a similar way, plants overall do this. Adaptogens we find special because we love their secondary metabolites. So they all have plenty of primary metabolites, and I'll show you some examples, but they also are loaded with secondary metabolites. Okay, next. And you might be thinking, gosh, we already have adaptogens. Like that joke. I don't know how many of you are in tune with the Gen Z memes, but I am kind of because of where I work at a university with lots of Gen Zers. And so this is one of the memes. It's like that your mom says, you're saying, Mom, can we have hamburgers? Can we stop at McDonald's? And mom says, we have hamburgers at home. Like, we're not going to spend extra money. We're going to go home and make hamburgers. And so the joke is like, people are bummed. They're like, we have to go to the home and have the home ones. And as you can see here, these are secretly apples that are made into hamburgers and fries. Look close at the screen if you don't see it. And so here you might be thinking, well, we have all these adaptogens. I mean, all of the products have adaptogens. Are you saying that we need one more adaptogen? And I'm saying, let's check out Amla. So turn the next slide and let's see. So yeah, I'm saying yes, right? Adaptogens all help with a number of the same things. That is true. And you don't have to take all the things, but also Amla adds its own special magic. And its magic happens to be perfect for Minify, just perfect. So let me show you even more next. Amla, the legend, okay, Indian legend says that Amla was the first tree ever on Earth. I think that's kind of a cool legend, right? That's kind of fun. I mean, who knows? But Amla, sure, Amla. So botanically, Phyllanthus emblica. Next. It's traditionally used throughout Chinese, Tibetan, and Indian medicine for a number of things. Look at what these are kind of connected to in terms of how we're using Amla in the Minify product. So digestion, yes, we're definitely using it for that. Purifying your blood, yes, that's important when you want to minify something. Purifying is useful. Clarifying, these kind of clarifying qualities of decreasing fever, asthma, cough, heart health, and liver health. We definitely need that when we minify. Reducing anxiety. Well, I don't know about you, but when I need to minify, I'm probably feeling a little bit anxious. It might be anxiety that comes from what did I just do? Or maybe anxiety like, what am I about to do? Okay, so it favors your health. Also, incidentally, just for fun, favors the health of the male reproductive system. That is the traditional use. And you can see where some of those uses point toward how we're using it today. They also point toward what research looks at when the researchers are trying to find more about plants. And remember, of course, remember always that plants are not very lucrative for people to research. And so not a lot of research gets done on plants, especially compared to anything pharmacological. And a lot of the research that is done on plants is not as good as the research pharmacologically. But over the past 20, 25 years, things have really, really gotten better. Much, much better. Okay, next. Here is what some of the current research says about Amla, and we'll do the same thing for Nopal cactus. So we're going to run through these a little bit quickly, but I think you'll be able to have the slides to look at if you want more information. And as always, well, maybe not as always, but I try to put the reference at the bottom of the slides. Okay, so Amla minifies your inflammation when you're eating things that maybe you shouldn't eat, or like Greg had talked about, we have this environment around us that's just plain damaging. It didn't used to be. Ideally, we had great nutrients in the soil, good air, pure water. And so unless you were not eating enough or your diet was extremely limited, you were really pretty able to have the nutrition you needed. You were pretty able to do that. But now, not only do we have poor nutrition in the soil, we have added toxins in the soil. We have toxins in the air and in our water, in our furniture, in our soap, everywhere. And so we need a lot of minification. Is that a word? I just made up that word. Maybe you already have it. We need a lot of minification happening because minimosity is marvelous. Okay. I'll stop now. You can hear me later this week. So we minify inflammation. We need to minify inflammation, whether or not we ate those cookies. We still need to minify inflammation. So what we always want is more fiber. It's hard to get too much fiber, especially these days when our diet is really kind of geared toward very low fiber. So fiber can help us across the board. Like we talked, or like you heard already tonight, fiber plus bile can escort out a lot of the bad guys. So Amla minifies inflammation in addition to helping add a little bit more fiber to an already happy fiber supplement. So this is helpful with your digestion because when you're inflamed, the idea is that when you digest food, the food permeates through the epithelial wall in your gut so that it's absorbed by the blood. So it's little teeny tiny little packages of nutrients that gets absorbed by the blood or sometimes by the lymph, particularly if it's fats. And so what you want is good functioning blood vessels, and inflammation can get in the way of good functioning blood vessels, thereby making it harder for you to bring the food into your body and digest. So you want those, anyway, you hear what I'm saying. You want low inflammation. You also want the fluids to stay in the blood vessel. And sometimes permeability happens because of inflammation. And so that permeability can create leakage. You don't want fluids and proteins leaking into your tissues because that can create some allergies, sometimes some autoimmune kind of disease. People think that that's what that's linked to. So minifies inflammation. And one of the articles, and now I got to tell you about science and scientific writing. In fact, this week I've been helping my students with scientific writing. And even today I was saying things like, take out the word tremendously, take out the word, it even does that. Take out the word amazing, because we don't use those words in science. And so when you run across something that says remarkable, that is really actually quite remarkable that they felt so inspired that they put the word remarkable in there. We do that all the time when we blog or when we, send emails or texts to people. We'll say these kinds of words, but in science writing, they really don't. And so the fact that it says remarkable anti-inflammatory activity, that's kind of a big deal. Okay, next. It can minify harm that occurs with superoxide dismutase. So this is an enzyme that helps break down harmful molecules. And so Minify can minify any of the harm that this might cause us. Minify is also an antioxidant, so it will also not only lower inflammation, but it will help manage those reactive oxygen species. And that reactive oxygen species can also destroy cells. And so lowering that inflammation, we're acting as an antioxidant, also lowering in arthritis pain, minifying that, improving your skin. Great. Next. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. We've talked about this before in the context of some other herbs. We're going to talk about it today in terms of amla, and then again in terms of nopal cactus. So no quiz at the end, but you definitely want to know this. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, NAFLD. Currently, 25% is the current worldwide incidence, which is shocking. Compare that to 100 years ago. I can't even imagine what the difference would have been. And so right now, pharmaceuticals are saying, well, there's really nothing we can do about it. Sorry, it's incurable. And again, today, in fact, I had a student correct their paper when they said there's no treatment for this. I said, change that to say there is no as yet acceptable pharmacological or conventional treatment for that, because we know we definitely have some alternative treatments that work. They work. So there's apparently no magic bullet, because there really isn't for anything, right? Spoiler. If you haven't read the FAQs yet, that's a spoiler. So you need a complex attack plan, and Amla is part of that plan. So based on this research, you can see how Amla can really be helpful for NAFLD. Normally, your gut bacteria should take care of the dangerous metabolites that harm their liver. And so when you break down food, you're breaking it down to its components. Some of those components are toxic, not because the food wanted them there. Often they're just like an added addition from our lovely environment. And so you have toxins in your gut from air you breathe, water you drink, food you eat, whatever it is. And normally your gut bacteria should be able to take care of those metabolites, those toxic metabolites, those little components that are broken down. However, when the gut bacteria are disrupted, then they can't really work to get rid of those metabolites. Therefore, they can't protect that liver. And so what is really key is your gut bacteria. If your gut bacteria is a problem, your health is a problem across the board in many ways. This is just one of those ways, is that they don't take care of the metabolites that can be destructive to the liver. Well, we want to protect the liver, because when you don't protect the liver, then it gets, the technical term is messed up. Okay, next. So dysregulated gut flora, the microbiome that's dysregulated, contributes to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. But Amla can reduce this 3 ways. And this is so cool. So Amla not only has been shown to reduce fatty tissue in the liver, fatty livers. Hepatic steatosis is the technical name for it. So, dinner tonight, you can talk about hepatic steatosis and sound super cool. It also reduces the lesions that happen, that's thickened and scarred tissue that happens when you have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So you end up with fats in your liver and lesions, thickened, scarred tissue. And then your liver is like, I can't anymore. Help me. And the microbiome is going, I can't either. I'm so sorry. Now I'm anthropomorphizing, but what else would you do? Okay. So you're remodeling these disordered microflora also. So Amla does 3 things: reduces the fat, helps heal those lesions, and it changes the microflora. But this is a lot like what Val just told you about slippery elm and about chickweed, that they can help also with your microbiome. They can help with your gut bacteria. And so Amla can help restore the metabolism. It can help with bringing down the bad bacteria, bringing up the good bacteria, restoring bile acid biosynthesis. So if you think back about what is bile acid synthesis doing for me? Well, bile is part of what the liver produces that helps escort out the toxins. So you definitely want that piece of it. There's a lot that this does for you, but what Amla is really doing is helping you across the board, not just in one way. Okay, next slide. Current research, this was just for fun. I mean, this was cute. Study on calves. The goal is we want better immunity, not more antibiotics. And we love that. Please, no more antibiotics. And so Amla helped increase increase antioxidants. It helped increase immunity. And they showed that the calves had more diversity in their gut microbe, which is a sign of great health. So that's fantastic. Next slide. Amla also reduces this dyspepsia, the stomach discomfort. And so this is an in vivo study, sort of like, think of it like in jars kind of thing. So you're regulating gut hormones and you're regulating the microbiome, again, in Amla. That's another different study that comes up with similar answers. So the results are, not only are you increasing the movement, they call that gut motility, and that's where you're moving food through the gut and emptying it into the colon and out. But you're also elevating useful bacteria and decreasing harmful bacteria. Again, fantastic. Next. Amla research also shows a number of other benefits that are fantastic that you want. I'm not focusing on these in particular because I think the information I gave you was so exciting. You're just going to have to recover for a while. And then at some point, we might talk about it's anti-diabetic. It protects the gut, protects the liver, protects you from higher levels of bad fats in your blood. Helpful for coughs, antimicrobial, helps those circulation, your blood vessels, and prevents peptic ulcers. Awesome. Next. This is this really cool graph that I found in this article. I just wanted to share it with you. You don't normally find this kind of stuff in a scientific article, so I was kind of excited about it. Plus, it does such a great job of showing all of the different things that Amla can do for you. Okay, next. Here, we're talking about nutrition. So if you remember primary and secondary metabolites, primary metabolites would be the minerals and the vitamins. Secondary metabolites are all kinds, thousands and thousands of different names that sometimes are just unique to that particular plant. And so you can see vitamin C is huge. Vitamin A, B1, E, calcium, and iron. But secondly, you've got all this other stuff that's really amazing. So I just cut and pasted that from the article because that's a lot. Next. We're here now at Nopal. So you see what Amla can do for you. Here's what Nopal can do for you. Nopal and Amla work together well to support each other and to really do amazing things in terms of helping your body stay minified, right? So this is prickly pear. This is the little more review because we've talked about Nopal already. It's from Mexico. There's some question that it's also because it's also in the Mediterranean, and they're thinking, but we think that we brought it from Mexico, and that's why it's been in the Mediterranean, because we don't really see it and mention of it before, like say 1500 or so. Traditionally used for burns and wounds, traditionally used for edema, so lots of fluid that's trapped. Sound like any recent herb Val talked about? Hyperlipidemia, obesity, and gastritis, particularly gastritis or stomach upset that has to do with a lot of mucus. So they call that catarrhal. Next. Lots of nutrients in Nopal, similar to everything else we've talked about. So again, hitting vitamin C, omega-3 fatty acids. It's high in some other amino acids that are helpful for protein building. Next. Currently, we've seen research that shows that it can help in a number of things. What does that say there? The second one, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. How about that? Two things 25% of the world seems to have trouble with. In addition, metabolic syndrome, which I remember when I first learned about metabolic syndrome, it was one of those really rare things that people thought, gosh, does anybody actually have this? And now it seems that everybody has this. Rheumatism, stroke, virus, bacterial infections. Nopal can help with all of those things. Next. Help you with your kidneys. So we talked about the liver. Now we're happily talking about kidneys. So we have happy kidneys here. If the problem is toxic kidneys, nephrotoxicity. And so they did this in mice. They induced kidney problems and then they used Nopal. And Nopal significantly what they call ameliorated, which means lowered the problem or healed the problem or cured the problem or made it better, ameliorated that toxicity in their kidneys. Using antioxidant activity, it also reduced markers of stress in the kidneys. Next. Like Amla, modulating the gut bacteria. And so you're getting more of the good kind, less of the bad kind, and more diversity. And so here we've got a study where mice were fed anthocyanins. Anthocyanins are secondary metabolites. They're good. We like them. A lot of times people talk about getting them from berries. And so anthocyanins, good. They gave these to mice. It improved the diversity of their gut bacteria. It's like the same story, isn't it? You're like, but Allison, are you repeating yourself? And the answer is yes, I am. Because this is what we keep saying over and over. Fantastic effects on the microbiome. So we see that your diet will give you nutrients for your body. Diet also gives you nutrients for your gut bacteria. You need to eat this every day. It makes no sense to think you can set it and forget it with your gut. You have to be having those nutrients all the time. Nopal can minify those problems you might have with gut bacteria. Okay, next. We're also improving, and I think Blake mentioned this, short chain fatty acids, SF or SCFAs. You can also find some added SCFAs in another Solle product. Should I tell you? Or yeah, I'll tell you because I don't know if Kendall wants to keep it for his games. You never know what he's going to pull out. So it's in the complete. So SCFAs maintain your health. They discourage disease. They're wonderful short chain fatty acids that happen in the colon. They're produced by gut bacteria. Nopal creates antioxidants, like we talked about, affects your individual cell proliferation, movement, and function in good ways, and can improve your gut integrity. And so this is where you're looking at issues of permeability, et cetera. Next. Okay, the other thing that, and I kid you not, this is a research study on Nopal and its effect on cement. Yes, on cement. This is what I'm reading. So apparently it increases the durability of cement. So who knew that cement needed adaptogens, but apparently cement needs Nopal. Next. Okay, so these two, Nopal, Amla, they will minify for you. Protective, they can heal your gut bacteria, and they can positively affect a range of body organs. We particularly talked about the liver, the kidneys, your gut, overall nutrition. Research also showed effects on the heart and brain. We didn't talk about that. So that is minification for you with Amla and Nopal. I think that's my last slide.
Well, Allison, my heck, that was some great information. In fact, people were so excited about your information. They're chomping at the bit to order this product. They're getting real excited. Hold on, everybody. We're going to tell you how you can get it, what it costs, and how you can minify that price just for a little bit. But thank you, Allison. That was some great information. Thank you. Greg?
Well,
I always liked, I just want to say too, I do feel wiser, Allison, and I love all the information. So you talked about Nopal and Amla, and Amla to me, that was one aspect of the formula. I remember Allison just saying, this needs to be in here. And from the moment I told Kendall, you had me at Amla because it really is the perfect adaptogen. And of course, Nopal's great too. But Allison, as you think of, the rest of the formula, the Psyllium and the Slippery Elm and the ginger and the fiber, any other thoughts or comments come to your mind about the blend of all these things in Minify that you wanted to share?
Well, yeah, I think of it, it's sort of like when a bunch of streams the confluence of the streams create this river, and you've got this extra power from all these streams, and they're all going the same place. And so you have a bunch of sources of great stuff all headed toward the same place. It's this city, it's called Minify, right?
Okay, so I love that. Now, one other thing you mentioned this to me earlier, we were talking about our eating habits. And some people, I think you said, Allison, like maybe there's a scale of 1 to 5 or 0 to 5. And maybe a 5 is like, I make such awesome choices with my meals. And maybe a 0 is, yeah, I'm not even ready to start thinking about that. But you made a comment about Minify and where people might be on the scale.
Right. Well, I mean, I could get really clinical about it and talk about Prochaska's stages of change, where when people are in pre-contemplation, they have not even thought about change. So even though they don't, it doesn't even occur to them that they might add like 3 vegetables a week to their diet. That hasn't even crossed their mind. They can still benefit from Minify. Or you have people who are saying, okay, I already have 6 servings of raw vegetables a day, but maybe I could up it to 8. They could probably benefit from minification too, because we live in the world we live in today, and we cannot help but be surrounded by problems. It's like a daily fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I love that. It was kind of the thought you left me with was, no matter where I am on that rung, I'm step 1, 3, 4. Minify's there to actually help me in a pretty simple way, maybe move up a rung, to level up a rung, and that's going to, over time, just bring a lot of benefits. So that might surprise me.
Because the thing is, when you feel better, you want to do better. It just follows. And so if you can start, and this is why I love for people to start on adaptogens, because then they have the energy and the interest and the strength and the hope to keep going. Whereas before, they're usually just so discouraged. So I think Minify might be it's a fantastic thing for people who are level 6 down the road. But it's also a really great thing for people who are starting, because maybe they can feel just better enough to want to keep going, and it'll make that much of a difference.
Yeah.
Love that. Thanks, Dr. Allison.
Thank you so much.
Love being here.
We'll see you.
Thanks.
That's good stuff. Good stuff. Love talking with her. Greg, got a couple questions that have come up. One is good fibrations. It's our other fiber supplement. We talked a little bit earlier about cupboard and counter or table nutrition, and would you, if you wanted, would you stop taking good fibrations and take Minify?
No, I really wouldn't. I mean, that's a great question. Good Vibrations, for those who may be newer watching, is a scoop product where I'm taking many more grams of fiber, and it's in the form that it's in, so that I can take large amounts, maybe in cleansing or clarifying, or in my shake. Whereas, and these are usually separate; they're their own event. It might be right before I go to bed or different times like that. And Minify is about snack time or meal time. Mm-hmm. Injecting and fibering up, making it a higher fiber event. Of course, not just fiber, as we heard, Nopal and Amla and these other nutrients. A higher nutrient and fiber event that also minifies the negatives.
Right.
So it's really a different place. And I'd maybe just add one other point. Some people really have a hard time scooping and drinking their fiber, but they can do the capsule.
Right.
So Minify lets that person who's at level 0 doesn't even want to think about it yet.
Yeah.
Maybe I can. And it gets them into the fiber and minification, to use Allison's word, in a way that's maybe a little more comfortable for them.
Right. And we're not even close to getting enough fiber in our lives, in our diets anyway. So both of them, I think, would be great. Which kind of brings me to this point. When should I take this product? Of course, we're taking it at mealtime. Do I take, if I forget, for instance, and I go, oh crap, I just ate my meal, and I didn't minify. What do I do now? Can I take it after my meal?
Yeah, you post minify.
Yeah.
You're looking at me because I've done that too much. I'll eat, and then I'm like, I wanted to minify that. Well, just right after. I would say try it right before and right after with people.
Yeah.
And of course, minify can be anytime. As you've listened to Valerie and Allison, this is a product you can take anytime. But its main emphasis tonight about leveling up our snacking, our eating. Yeah, right before, right after with. You put that all in the mix. Yeah. And you've got the minification going.
So the best time to take Minify is before a meal. The second best is after.
I think so.
Kind of
That's
like
me.
when to plant a tree kind of thing.
Yeah.
But also, probably if you led your meal a little bit, you took it a little bit like 5-10 minutes before a meal, gave the capsule time to dissolve and mix with your food as you put it in, might even be better.
It might change how you eat.
Yeah.
And we've talked to a few people who do that. It even could be 20 minutes early or whatever. I love Allison's comment, Dr. Allison, when she said, I take it, for what I did or what I'm about to do. Because there are times when you want to just splurge a little. You just do. So I'm going to minify that. In other words, we don't have to be perfect always. We're making good choices and making improvements, but also there are times when, look, I know I'm going to do that, and I'm just going to minify. Okay. Yeah.
And so there was also the question of how many times can I take it, or how many can I take in a day? If you're eating 3 meals and you want to minify 3 meals, it's a great
6,
question, right?
Absolutely. You take it when you, like with all herbs, it's about listening to your body and watching things, and you take it when you want to take it.
Right.
It's really, as Dr. Allison, she did a great job talking about, we call it superior for a reason. Adaptogen-centered formulas, they're scalable.
Right.
Which means they're adaptable to the individual. You take them as you have need and as you have desire, and you'll kind of find, the sweet spot for you.
Yeah, and if you find some discomfort from taking too many, then back off a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think you can probably take it, several of them a day, and still be
absolutely.
Because I think especially ingesting it with your food, you get that mix with that, and it's doing its work. And sometimes if you take a lot of fiber all by itself, then it might give you a little bit of distress. But
might
get
that
your
colon
food,
moving.
In amongst your food, I think it's going to be a little bit more pleasant for you. Also, somebody asked if they could put it in Cinnamate, which I think is a lovely idea. We haven't tried it. We've put Sulfit GP in there.
Well, that's a Cinnamini. That's a Cinnamini.
Yeah, Cinnamini. I love it. Which, Sulfit GP has a little bit of spice to it, and that's kind of nice. So I think it would taste really good, and you can really take this anytime, like you said.
Sure.
You don't have to just take it with your meals.
Yeah, and speaking of that, Kendall, do we have any more? Are there any other items that we were wondering about minifying, or have we covered all those?
No, I think we should find out what else minifies.
Okay, because I'm not sure. We covered it.
No.
What else we got? What else you got?
Let's play another round of Will It Minify? Let's find out. A salad. Oh. That's got lots of fiber, lots of good in it.
Do I even need to minify that? Well,
I don't know.
Well, what do you put on it? Because my cousin. So one of my favorite years of college was my sophomore year. I had a cousin, and we would go to the cafeteria at the university every day, and I had a salad every day along with everything else. I filled my tray. I could not eat enough in those days. And he used to joke and say, your salad is not a salad, it's a soup and salad. Because you couldn't see any of what you see in this picture because of how much dressing I put on that. So, I think the answer to that is, you can minify it.
Yeah.
You could minify your salad. Plus, to your point, even if I'm eating good salads and getting fibers, so many salads don't have a ton of fiber.
Right.
And the fiber gap is so huge, I can always up that anyway.
Oh, pizza.
Oh, a pizza? Yeah. I think that's an easy one.
Yeah.
What do you think,
Oh,
Kendall?
I think you can definitely minify it. Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It does minify.
Yeah. How about that?
Okay.
Oh,
Ooh, bowl of fruit.
interesting fruit, and especially berries. They have a lot of sugar in them, but they also have kind of their own minifying properties. With the fiber and
Yeah.
things in there that won't spike your blood as much as other things. So should I minify those?
Well,
Do they minify?
I think it's one of those, the gradations of Minify.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading an article the other day about fruit growers modifying their, and this was apples, for level of sugar content because of what would sell
Right.
and what the money they'd make. And it was much higher sugar levels than they used to have in there. So here's the thing about fruits. It's a different world. Back to Allison's comment that we live in. Even with these fruits and other things that are good and do a lot of good, I think the answer is you still
Absolutely.
you can still minify it. Yeah.
Popcorn.
I don't even. Do you need to minify popcorn? Isn't popcorn the exempt thing?
It's just air, right? It's just fluff.
Yeah. Well,
But I think you can.
I
I think I would.
Yeah, because I'm not going to tell you what we put on our popcorn. Yeah, it can be minified.
Oh, there's a plate of delicious
Veggies.
vegetables.
Yeah. See, but that's a quick one too because so good,
Yeah.
so great. It's this gradation. Well, I probably can still even level it up. I can minify. I'm thinking about all the stuff we learned about Amla and Nopal and digestion. Because we can have put good stuff in, but also help the body process it better.
Right.
We can minify it.
And the prebiotics and stuff in there that help the whole digestion process. Yeah.
You could minify it. That's my guess. So let's look and see.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yep.
I think that's our last one. Oh, and one more. Oh,
Oh no!
oh, please tell me.
This is.
Please tell me you
if
can
it
minify
won't
this.
minify this, then why did we even do this?
I know. 'Cause
Kendall knew this is my favorite Halloween candy.
That's mine.
Except for the little pumpkins that are kind of made out of the same thing and they're shaped like pumpkins.
yeah, another level up.
Those another level up. And I would have enjoyed my Halloween much more this year if we could have done this to it. Because I have a feeling I'd have eaten a bunch more. So yeah.
I think we have one more.
It
actually.
minifies. Oh, is there another one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
So,
then, this is yours. I'm leaving this one to you, Kendall. Can that be minified?
Yeah. There's lots of sugar in that, and and it says frozen yogurt, which is for lots considered the more healthy
Alternative.
to ice cream. But
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's real, true, but with some minify, it might be.
Yeah.
Oh, it'll minify.
I think it'll minify. Yeah. Okay.
So, Greg, thank you for spending some time with us tonight. We've learned a lot. We're about to get to the part where everybody has been chomping at the bit for. So
It might be time to wrap this up.
Yeah. Thank you. Any
betcha.
other comments before you leave?
Well, I just think we need to welcome Hope because she's got some pretty good news, right, Kendall?
Right.
You and Hope do.
She does. So, Hope, come join us here. Hope Anderson, who is in charge of all the marketing here at Solle. She is going to tell us a little bit about what you've been wondering about and really anxious to hear.
I am. All right. Awesome. So I think some of you have seen Minify is live on our website. So we're really excited for it. It's beautiful. You can see all the ingredients in there. It's up. It's shoppable. And one of my personal favorite things about Minify is its price. It's only $21.95, which is amazing. And right now, we're currently doing an offer of buy two, get one free. So it goes through Sunday. We're going to run it through the weekend. It's such an awesome blend and with everything that it does. And these bottles look big, but I mean, they only have 60 capsules because we talked about why the capsules are bigger. So really, you may be like, oh, do I really need 3 bottles? The answer is you do.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
You won't regret buying 3. And really, you're only buying 2, right? Girl math. So you're getting them free. And so we are offering this, like I said, through Sunday. We're super excited about it. The code is Daily Habits. We chose that for a reason. Minify, along with everything else, shows that consistency is key, right? As with everything we take, but particularly with Minify, you just want to stay consistent with it. And I was talking with Greg earlier today about, well, do you have to take it with every single meal you eat? What about if I'm kind of a grazer and picker, so I'm like, what if I eat 1 hard-boiled egg? Should I take a Minify with that? He's laughing because he knows I'm a grazer. And so what Greg was saying is that, like, even if you just did it with like one meal or like one snack, and you kind of know like which meals you want to minify more than others. He was saying for his breakfast, he does like oats with some berries and slivered almonds. And he's like, I don't minify that because there's already fiber in the oats. And so I usually save it for lunch. And so you can minify as much as you want throughout the day. If you start minifying too much, you may just feel it a little bit. So your body will guide you and lead you. But anyways, you are going to whip through the 3 bottles. So that's why we did the buy 2, get 1 free.
Yeah. But they're a great price, even before this deal, a great, really good price that you can feel comfortable taking it and not breaking the bank, you know.
And it's perfect because if you're out with friends for lunch or something, it's like, oh, I'm going to take these. And then, of course, everybody's like, oh, what is that? And it's at such a low price point, and it's such an easy formula to understand that it's perfect for sharing, especially as you're around more people, usually for the holidays, and eating a lot. Let them see you using it. Everybody wants to know what other people are doing. We're nosy by nature. And so don't be afraid to chat about it. And it's such a great thing to be able to share. So shareable. And that was intentional. So, all right.
What else is going on?
We had one person ask, only 1 promo per account. Yes. But you know what? $21.95. Buy a new bottle anytime. You got this one free, so the next one's practically free. It's the best thing about girl math.
It might not be the last sale we do.
Yeah, that's also true. You know, it's November, so 'tis the season. All right. So also something I wanted to chat about that we're going to do is this. We were talking about ways to get people talking about Minify and get them using it on a consistent basis so they can really feel the benefits for themselves, especially during this time period, like I said, where it's typical that people kind of throw away their health and they're like, I'll just start January 1st, which, yeah, you can start more intensely January 1st. It's not like we're saying don't eat any sugar throughout the holidays. That makes you a sad person typically. And we don't like sad people. So, or we don't want to intentionally make you sad.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to extend this 45 days of healthy habits. On November 16th, after much debate on whether or not you count certain days, November 16th is 45 days left until the end of the year. And so we're giving you some time along with this sale. It's perfect. Invite people. They can order, still have time to receive their bottles, and participate by starting on the 16th. We're going to do 45 days of healthy habits. Now, this is a guide I drafted up for you all. This is obviously the brand specialist version. You can see that on top. And so we'll post all of these assets and resources into the Soul Business group chat, or not group chat, Facebook group, thank you, after this live stream. But what this does is it just reviews really quickly why we're doing this challenge, what it is. It's a great thing to send to your specialists who maybe aren't watching tonight or want to know more about how to engage with this challenge. And when I say challenge, people sometimes get like this nervous, oh my gosh, what am I going to have to do? Like sign away my first child? Do I have to give up all joy? Like, what is this challenge? And so we wanted to clarify, right? This talks about it being consistency, but we wanted to clarify they're really just pillars of basic health. Mm-hmm. And it's to get people to avoid that all or nothing mentality and stick rather with consistent habits that are lifestyle habits. It's not like you're going to stop doing these things, hopefully, at the end of this challenge. It's just a way to be more conscientious about your health during this time period instead of throwing it away and being like, you know what, I'm not going to do anything until the 1st. So you can see here what our invitations are for you on a daily basis. There's 45 days. And the first one is take Minify with major meals and stick to your daily supplement routine. You'll notice that we didn't just put Minify there. We wanted to specifically put it there because it's, for the reasons we said, it's such a great sharing opportunity, and it makes really such a big difference in your food and your health, as you've heard all tonight. But also, we're encouraging you to stick with any other daily supplement routine that you have. So it's not like you only have to promote this with Minify, right? Promote what you're already promoting, but we're also inviting you to add Minify to that because everyone can benefit from adding Minify.
Yeah.
Also, we wanted to include eat 4 to 5 servings of fruits and veggies. We don't want to tell you cut out all fats and sugars or do this, but just focus on the good. I think that really helps, especially with a long history of diet culture. a lot of times it can be super overwhelming to focus on all the things we shouldn't do. And it's a lot more helpful to focus on the things we should be doing, like, oh, we're going to hit a protein goal, or we're going to make sure we have this many servings of fruits and veggies. It's a lot more positive way to look at it, and it can feel much more accomplishable. Also, hydration, super important. Drink half your body weight in ounces of water. Engage in active movement for 20 minutes. This can be going on a brisk walk with a friend. It doesn't have to be you going to the gym every day. It can be, as Allison always says, dancing around in your living room. Whatever fits you best. Also, sleep at least 7 hours a night. I know that one's a tricky one, especially through the holidays, especially for parents as they're like busy being Santa and everything else. And so we still want you to prioritize that. It's always important, although we realize it's not always possible, right? And then the last one is gratitude. So list or say 3 happenings or people from that day that you're grateful for. And you can write those down. You can say them to somebody in your household. You can share them at the dinner table, however you want to do that. So really pretty easy things, right? This talks a little bit to the specialist about how we encourage you to participate. We encourage you to post and talk about this challenge if you're participating, and that way you can invite others to engage with you. I would also add that personal invitations go a long ways, especially with things like this where you want an accountability buddy. That's what I was going to say. If you also want to talk to a button, great. I don't think it'll work as well. But for me personally, when I do things like this, I always immediately, I have 3 sisters, I text them and I'm like, hey, I'm doing this. Who wants to do it with me? And so I know you all have those people. It means a lot. And then also as a friend, it can be really exciting to be like, oh, this person thought of me and they included me. Mm-hmm. Like, that's great. And it's something where we're not asking a lot. It's probably things they just need to be a little more conscious about doing and they can achieve them. Yeah. So it's not a big, huge commitment. And then also leveraging the sale, right? If you want to be posting about this challenge you're going to do, I would recommend posting about it before the 45 days start. That's not to say you stop posting about it then. Obviously, people can join late or do it. And you'll want to show them that you're actually doing it because you want to show your consistency and it'll continue to stir up conversation. But now's the perfect time to invite people to participate because we have that sale going on and they have time to receive it. So that is also a conscious decision on our part. And what you can expect from us support-wise, we'll be posting about the challenge in our stories, inviting people to participate if they want. And then also we will be reposting whatever you post. If you're posting I did this, and this today, or off to a good start, or I'm on a 3-day streak. If you're posting that to your stories, we'll repost. Of course, we won't repost if you put your shopping link on there to your replicate site. So if you want us to repost your content, don't do that. But it can be a great tactic for you if you're not looking for the reposting, you're just wanting people to shop your stories. Great. Also, in the assets and resources we'll be pushing to the Facebook group after this, we have story templates for you to use that have little daily like checklist trackers. And then there's also one where you can fill out your streak. So you'll have those assets. And then, of course, you have this digital PDF to be able to talk about the challenge and why we did it and what it is to anyone in your group. We also have a version for members. If you want to use that, go ahead. That will be posted in the Facebook group as well. And that one obviously is much shorter and just talks about what the challenge is, how to participate, has the daily tracker, and talks about what Minify is if they want to include that in their 45-day challenge. And last but not least, I feel like I've been talking a lot, sorry. But we want to do some giveaways. So we didn't want to make this really complicated or complex. We know you have a lot going on at this time of year already. And so we're not going to make you sign in your email or fill out a form every day or do anything like that. Exactly. We're trusting you to track yourselves, but we will track your engagement via social media, right? And so throughout, when it starts on the 16th to the end of the year, we'll be doing various giveaways via social media. And maybe one of them will be like, hey, everyone who posts like what their 3 things for gratitude were today, we're going to enter you to win this. Mm-hmm. So they'll just be participation giveaways. So something to keep in mind if you're debating whether or not to participate. They will be pretty awesome. So I'm always a sucker for giveaways. But yeah, any questions you had, Kendall, or anybody else? Now that I've kind of said my spiel.
I think you presented it well. I think you know, the thing is, we aren't worried about if you've done it the whole time. You know, if you come in late, you're good. If you miss a couple days, you're good. It's just about trying to think healthy through this hard time of the year. You know, if we should have in our game there a little bit, we should have found out if you could minify the holiday seasons. Because you can. With this, you might be able to minify the holidays. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, of course. I saw one question. Tanya was asking, how will you track hashtags? When we do a giveaway, because we won't be tracking you the whole time, when we do a giveaway, we'll tell you specifically, like, people need to post their streak today to enter and just tag us in your stories. It'll be posting something in your stories and tagging us. Or we'll post and be like, hey, we're this many days into our challenge. Comment how it's been going for you to enter the giveaway. It'll be things like that where we're not tracking you the whole time. And also, I know we do, speaking of hashtags, the SN sweeps posts and all that. This is perfect because you don't have to be making extra posts. You just can join them, as long, of course, SN sweeps can be in stories. But it's easy to combine lots of things. It gets you talking about Minify, gets people excited. It's a great way to reach out to people you haven't reached out to in a long time. Consistency and a little bit more accountability and community is something I think a lot of people are looking for this time of year. Yeah. So don't be afraid to talk to people.
Just a little tool to help you with your family and friends, help them, you know, become healthy, be healthy as much as they can.
Yeah.
And to share Minify. So that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, well.
Well, that is, we've learned so much today. Go to the website. Let's see if we can't crash it, like some people said, and order away. It's live. We've been enjoying it here. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on Why Soul Works.